bright things ahead for her. She's just won the Rising Star Award, and I think that's the award that the likes of Ed Sheeran and Adele have won before. So nice one. Well done, Griff. That is Black Hole. I like that a lot. It is 17 minutes past 10. Good morning. How are you doing? I'm Caroline Robertson, keeping you company until 2 o'clock. Now, if I asked you, what do you know about people who live with Down syndrome, what would you say? That they don't live long? That they can't be independent?
Hi, I'm George. I'm 20 years old and have Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a genetic disorder where we have an extra chromosome, which can lead to health issues. There are a few things that I do find hard, but there are lots of things that I can do.
That was 20-year-old George Webster, and that clip is from a short film he made to celebrate World Down Syndrome Day. That was on Monday this week, for BBC Bite Size. And George made the film to bust a few myths about those who have the genetic disorder. Here to discuss how the media portrays those living with Down syndrome is Jemma Champion. Gemma's originally from Carlisle. Hey, Jemma, great to have you back on the show.
Hi, Caroline. Good morning.
Now, you have a personal interest in this. Your son, Finley. Tell us about him.
Yeah, I have a little boy called Finley. He's 6. He's almost 7. He's a feisty little character, and he happens to have Down syndrome as well.
I like that you said he happens to have Down syndrome. Now, one of the things that George in that clip he says is one of the myths is people say people suffer with Down syndrome. People suffer. We want to change the language we use, right?
Absolutely. It's about changing language and it's about changing perceptions. And I can hand on heart say that Finley doesn't suffer from anything apart from his younger sister. I think that's the best way to describe it. And it's about changing language, and it's all about, for me, it's something that I find really important. It's always person first, diagnosis second. So it's, we have George Webster there and your clip that you just played. I absolutely love George's myth-busting film that he did for BBC Bite Size. He's fantastic. And, he doesn't suffer from anything. He's a strong, independent young man, but he is George who has Down syndrome. He's not Down syndrome George, which is what we see over and over. And it tires me out sometimes in newspapers with people being described as down, the diagnosis is first and the person comes second, which isn't the way it should be.
That's it. It's something about him. He happens to have Down syndrome, but there's so much more to George as there is to Finley. This video that George made, as you say, for BBC Bite Size, it's gone pretty viral online. It's really fun. You should check it out. We've tweeted it. And some of the myths he busts, things like people with Down syndrome cannot be independent. Now, we know many people with Down syndrome who can lead very independent lives. They live alone. They run businesses. What would you say to that?
I work, I'm employed by a charity who actually supports adults with learning disabilities. We're a national charity. And I see daily adults, not only with Down syndrome, but with other learning disabilities, leading fulfilled and independent lives. That's not just to say for everybody, it's not right for everybody, but there are so many opportunities. And I don't know if you caught the short film that was brought out at the back end of last week called The Hiring Chain, which Sting sang the theme tune for. And it's all about employing people with Down syndrome, and it's such a really positive, uplifting film. And I think, this sort of stigma about people with Down syndrome can't be independent, they can't hold down jobs, they can't live alone. And I think in many cases it's a lack of opportunities that are the problem, and the barrier there, it's not actually they can't physically do it, it's just a lack of opportunity, lack of public perception, and having the confidence to work with someone with a learning disability or employ someone with a learning disability as well, because they're amazing, incredible people, as we all are, and everybody has something different to offer.
That's it. I have seen The Hiring Chain, and if you've not seen it, I urge you to watch it now. Search for The Hiring Chain. Yeah, Sting singing on this track, and it's about just that. It starts with a baker hiring Simone, who has Down syndrome, and then it's like, the barber sees Simone working in the baker, so he hires someone, then the lawyer does it, and I think that's it. It's about sort of breaking down stigmas, taking that first step to hire someone with learning difficulties with Down syndrome. I mean, why is it? Gosh, I mean, it's 2021 and people still think that they have sort of something that's life limiting.
Yeah, and there's so many, it's public perception. And I think in the past, there was a lot of, people with Down syndrome, we're not that far away. I mean, 50, 60 years ago, people with Down syndrome were put in institutions and they didn't have the opportunities. We're 2021 now. We can support people within our communities, within our employment, within our roles to teach skills. And it's about, it's about learning differently. And I think that's what we find with Finley as well, and especially when, he attends a mainstream school with his peers that he grew up with and went to nursery with. And, yes, he accesses the curriculum, but he does it in a slightly different way. And I think that model can be applied throughout, whether that's employment, whether that's in day-to-day living, or even how you speak to somebody with a learning disability or with Down syndrome. And that's something that, again, another myth that, people with Down syndrome are always happy. Well, come into my house at 4:00 when he's home from school and he's tired. He is most definitely not happy. But, and it's, in the same way that we all have our own personalities and what we enjoy and the things that we do and our loves and hates. People with a learning disability and people with Down syndrome are exactly the same. They're not childlike. They're adults. They can lead fulfilled lives as well.
Now, let's talk about representation, if we can, Jemma. The long-awaited new series of Line of Duty started on Sunday. I think it was about 9.5 million people watched it, which is it's phenomenal. It's unbelievable. And yet, a rising star actor, Tommy Jessop, appeared in it. He plays Terry Boyle in Line of Duty. Spoiler alert, I think he's a suspect in this first episode. What do you think of this representation? Is it important we see Down syndrome actors? I mean, there's been some controversy as well, Jemma, with some of the language used. I think Hastings called him an oddball, and there's a debate whether that's appropriate or just, about, the fact that he's a petty criminal.
Yeah, and do you know what? I've been really on the fence about this, and I've spent quite a lot of time thinking about it as well. And yes, the local oddball comment did make me wince, and the way that Terry Boyle was being questioned, that some of the language which was used during the questioning wasn't inclusive. I did struggle with that a little bit. But do you know what? Actually, within the sort of Down syndrome community and families and the people I'm in touch with, it kind of swings both ways. Some people were a little bit sensitive, which I do appreciate, because I did have a little sort of intake of breath a few times. Yeah. This program went out on World Down Syndrome Day at the weekend, which it's a big day within the community. However, do you know what? It's great to see a person with Down syndrome, in a positive and diverse role. It's villains and heroes. It's challenging. I'm seeing people with Down syndrome as multidimensional human beings. It's not that, he's as capable as any other actor to take on a really major role. And, on primetime TV, on one of the most hotly anticipated series, it's fantastic. And that, they didn't follow typical stereotypes. And at first I was, it's taken me a little while to come around to this way of thinking, but I'm really glad that they did take him in and still question him and not just think that, oh, he's got Down syndrome, so it can't be him, which is possibly, what would have happened on another programme. And I do actually have faith that this story will play out in a really, really interesting way. And, we just don't know which way it's going to go. And yes, the language that Ted Hastings did use at the end about the local oddball, I didn't agree with. However, there is some backup there from, I have seen something from the BBC saying, well, at that point, Ted didn't know that the person he was talking about had Down syndrome, which, okay, we'll let that one lie. And I just think, Tommy Jessop, he's an incredible actor, and, he's been recognised by BAFTA with his skills as an actor, and I think it's a positive thing, to have, like you say, 9.5 million people seeing a lead actor with Down syndrome on such an incredible TV show.
That is a move forward, and he's the first professional actor with Down syndrome to play Hamlet. Mark Rylance said it was a phenomenal performance. I mean, that's cool. And this controversy, and sorry, correction, I said it was Monday World Down Syndrome Day. It was Sunday. It was Sunday when this went out. Jed Mercurio he's defended the phrase that Hastings used. And I kind of love what you said there, Jemma, because if you want to see more Down syndrome folk on telly and in movies and represented, that's great. But of course they can play baddies as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about, and that's real life. That's just what happens. And, I feel more confident in this storyline than I did compared to, say, the Emmerdale storyline going back a month or two. And it is, it's the heroes and villains, and, we just don't know. He may well have done it, but isn't it great that we've got someone, a young man with Down syndrome who's an incredible actor on primetime TV in this role that we're all on the fence of, did he or didn't he? We really don't know. And I think the next few weeks, as the series sort of unfolds and it all plays out, it's going to be quite interesting. But, I just hope that, it's not, it's not to say, oh yeah, he's the good guy because he has Down syndrome. I just hope that, language is considered. I mean, it does bring up another theme as well. Is he a vulnerable person who is being exploited or, by an organised crime group? And he has appeared in the Line of Duty series previously, I think a couple of series ago. So it is interesting, but great to see an actor, and he's doing a fantastic job.
We will keep watching, and like you, I hope it's going to be smart writing. It normally is with Line of Duty. It's nuanced, and we hope they don't go into any of the sort of stereotypes, that kind of thing. I think let's hope we got an interesting storyline for Tommy's character. The Emmerdale storyline you mentioned, we've spoken about this before, Jemma. This was where a character, a couple, they decided to terminate a pregnancy on discovering the unborn child would have Down syndrome. And I know a lot of people like yourself stopped watching. This caused outrage.
Yeah, I did, and I was always an Emmerdale fan. I'm living in Yorkshire now, so it's just down the road. I just really couldn't get my head around that at all. And interestingly, the Down Syndrome Association did come out and speak against the Emmerdale storyline, and I did a little bit of digging last night, and as far as I can see, at the moment, Down Syndrome Association stance on the Line of Duty storyline is still really, very positive, and yes, there were some uncomfortable language used, and things that did kind of make us wince a little bit as a community. But actually, let's just see how this goes, and let's not jump the gun and start pointing the finger, because actually this could, this is great. We've got a young man who's a talented actor with Down syndrome, sort of flying the flag for our community and showing people that actually, you can live a fulfilled life. You can go and be an actor. We've got a young lady who's with Down syndrome who's a model. We've got Sarah Gordy. We've got people, who are out there passing their driving test and getting a job and doing the things that, people every day do. And it's just fantastic, and just showing people with Down syndrome in such a positive light as well.
Jemma Champion, thank you so much for joining us.